Greetings slackers, September Man here with another video, and today I want to talk about an article that I had read over 2 weeks ago, and this goes back to some case in Detroit. I think I probably, if you can't tell by now by looking at some of my other videos, I'm anti-vaccine. And so there was a case about this single mother who was in Detroit, Michigan. And so per a custody dispute, she agreed basically to get her children vaccinated, and the father was pushing for vaccination. And so the child in the case was forcibly vaccinated by the state. The judge stepped in and said, to the single mother, you failed to comply with the court orders which you agreed to the first time in regards to the immunization of your children. And so she had basically done some educating of her own on the internet, looking at various videos and taking in other content. And so she felt that it was best to not vaccinate her child because she felt that those vaccinations were dangerous. And the father comes in, and so he's like, oh no, I believe in, vaccinations, and there's no good reason to not vaccinate my child. And so I don't know where you stand at in regards to the whole vaccine argument. Me, I'm not in favor of them because I don't feel that it's right for lawmakers and the states to work in conjunction with the pharmaceutical industry to force citizens to be required to have to get vaccinations. And this is sort of a path that they're working on and working everybody toward. Now, this case back in Detroit brings up something that you should definitely think about before jumping into a relationship, and that is, where do you stand on different things? What are your positions on, things like vaccination or politics? Because in this last election cycle, there was a division that was struck, and everyone was polarized, and they were either pro-Trump or they were pro-Hillary, pro-Democrat. But you had some people, they don't buy into either spectrum, and so they just remain neutral. But it was a polarizing force for Trump to be elected president, and so that drove people to one side and the other. And so you had people who were openly saying that, and I still see it on some people's profiles if I'm just looking through POF for research. Women will openly say, if you're a Trump supporter, don't bother messaging me. And then you have some women who are just the opposite. They are, Trump supporters, and they're like, Trump all the way. Okay, fine. Whatever your preference is, but it shows the political division that we have. And so if you're going to entertain a relationship with someone, isn't it better to hold the same interests and the same values on something as opposed to being with someone who is directly opposed to the very things that you take a stand for? Maybe you take a stand because it impacts you, or you take a stand because it impacts somebody else or you just sort of, like me, you read about these things and you ask questions, and so you're curious and you want to know more, and you take a position after distilling enough information and weighing things out and seeing, what's really at stake here. And so I think this mother did the right thing, but it sucks for the child because, again, the court had to step in and see to it that the child was vaccinated. The child has no will of its own. It's looked at as, under the guardianship of its parent. And right now you see moves in the corporate realm. I've seen, in certain jobs that I look at online, for instance, there's a requirement that you have to be vaccinated. It won't be long, they're building smart cities and they're redeveloping all these urban areas, it'll probably be some type of requirement in order for you to live in a certain area that you have to be vaccinated. This is the slippery slope that they are putting all of us on, and this is a little conspiracy theorist, but I've done enough research and watched enough videos to sort of, form a pretty decent opinion in my assessment. But when it comes down to relationships, you're going to have to decide from here on out. Again, do you date someone who holds opposite values and try to work with them, build a bridge? Or do you just say, fuck all that? It's not going to happen. We don't see eye to eye, and therefore there's no reason for this thing to continue. Where do you stand at on, vaccinations, your children? The state being able to tell you what to do, depriving you of your liberty. Leave all that for me down in the comment section below. That's going to do it for this video, and as always, I'll catch you in the next one.